Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. My name's Alex Sherwood. I go by the name of a Notioneer in the Notion community, and I've been using Notion for more than 6 years now. I'm a Notion certified consultant, Notion ambassador, template creator, and app developer. And I've helped dozens of nonprofits to customize and automate their Notion workspaces so far. So today I'm going to share a simple example of a Notion workspace and how that might look for a nonprofit, the workspace that you can see in front of you here. Explain why Notion's flexibility makes it a particularly useful tool for nonprofits, and how you can integrate Notion with apps like Rose and Notion Calendar to create dashboards, track your key metrics, and keep track of calendar dates across all of the activity that you're organizing through your organization. So the workspace that you can see here in front of you is obviously just a fake workspace from Notion AI's imagination. We've got this simple About Us page to kick things off, which just explains a little bit about your organization, obviously, for new joiners and as a reminder to your members. And then this is broken down into a few different sections. We've got a sort of master meetings database here where all of your team can keep track of their activities, a project management space for managing projects and tasks across the organization potentially, CRM system, and organizational wiki. So I'll just take you through each of those sort of components in turn. If we click into our meetings database here, I've just got a few sample meetings set up so that you can get some sense of how this might look. Obviously, you could be creating pages for your daily stand-ups using a template and an automation on a daily basis, holding your all-hands meetings every week, for example, and then potentially, other meetings on a monthly basis. The nice thing about Notion, if you're not too familiar with the tool at this stage, is that each page or each entry in this database is a page as well. So if we click into this page, we can now see all of the details, all of the notes that were recorded for this particular meeting. And we can also link our meetings to things like projects, tasks, applications potentially. So any of the other sort of lists of items that we're keeping track of in our Notion workspace. We've also got these properties here where we can record things like the meeting date and the type, who's attended the meeting. And one of the new features that Notion's launched fairly recently is Notion AI's Q&A feature, which is quite helpful because it allows you to do things like search your meeting notes, all of your past meeting notes, and find, for example, the particular meeting when a particular topic was discussed. So if I wanted to find out when the launch of the next project that is due to launch was last discussed in my meeting notes database, I can type in a query like this: when was the launch of project 2 last discussed? And then it will find these types of results, where if I just click into this page now, that's taking me into the meeting notes page that we just looked at a moment ago. And we've got some details about the launch of our next project just here. Going back to the main page then, I'll come back to the project management page in a second. The next sort of component that's going to be particularly useful for you is a CRM system like this. And obviously all of these sort of elements of the workspace that we're looking at here are completely custom. So if any of this isn't relevant for your organization, then you wouldn't see this in your Notion workspace at all. But if you did need to do something like track your applications, keep track of the donors that you have relationships with and who have provided you with grants, or who you're submitting applications to, then you might have a database like this. And then, of course, you've got your contacts database, which allows you to store the contact details of multiple contacts that might be linked to each of your individual donors from this list here. So for the applications database, your pages might look a little bit like this. You can obviously assign owners to your pages, record who the donor is, record which stage the application is at, And as you can see here, we've got this sort of Kanban board view, which allows you to see the total value of all of the applications that are in a particular stage. We can record deadline, we can record the key dates here for these applications and who you're speaking to at the donor organization or any other relevant contacts as part of the application process. If we take a look at application 1 here, one of the really nice features of Notion is that once you have started sort of setting up other databases in your workspace to record lists of items with particular sets of details like projects, you can link those to your various different databases. And so if you need to be able to see all of the projects which have been funded by a particular application and what their current status is, who's managing the project, dates, and all of those types of details, then you can just connect those different databases, link the pages together, and then when you open a particular applications page, you've got all of that information there sort of at a glance so that you can update your donors, for example. If we scroll down the page, again, we've got sort of similar functionality here. So if we look at the Polish government's page, actually, then we've got a nice summary of who the contacts are from this particular organization, which applications have been submitted to them, and the projects that are currently being worked on or have been worked on for this particular organization in the past. And your contacts database is pretty standard, just recording, these types of details. But again, if you need to sort of customize any of these details at all, maybe adding a tagging system or recording people's addresses as well, then you've got the flexibility to just add a new property here and customize this database to record whichever information you need to keep track of. So then if we go to our project management page, we've got a fairly standard looking project management system right here. So these are the projects that you saw a moment ago when we were looking at the Polish government organizations page. We can see these in a range of different views with different sorting and filtering being applied to these views to make it easy to organize the information. So we've got this active projects view here. I can see all of the projects that I'm currently working on. When I look at this Kanban view, and obviously I can drag and drop these projects to update their statuses from here. This view is using a really sort of nice feature, which if we just select me as the filter criteria for this view, then it will automatically only display the items that are assigned to the person who's viewing the page. So you can create dashboard pages using those sort of dynamic filters really easily and not have to replicate the dashboard for each member of the team. And then if we scroll down to our task database, we've got a list of all of the tasks that we're working on for our various different projects here. And obviously you could be adding other tasks to this view as well, which might not be related to projects at all, or might be related to applications instead of projects, so that when you're looking at your dashboard pages, you can see all of the items or all of the things that you need to be working on in a single view. Speaking of sort of tasks and dates, one of Notion's other sort of tools that you will have access to if you're using their service is Notion Calendar. And this is basically, this was a standalone calendar app which was developed and called Chrome previously. But now Notion has acquired this company and they allow you to connect your Notion databases to your calendar. So I might have, a range of different meetings in this calendar view, which I'm managing just like events from Google Calendar. But I can also choose to display items from my Notion databases in Notion Calendar alongside those calendar events, so that I can see, key dates for when I need to write a project proposal or when I've got a particular meeting coming up, which I've actually recorded in Notion rather than in Google Calendar. So going back to our Notion workspace, if we have a look at our organization wiki, one of Notion's biggest strengths is its sort of wiki functionality and the ability that it gives you to keep track of all of the key documents or particularly piece of knowledge SOPs and things that you would need to keep track of across your organization. And so here we've got this nice and simple sort of looking wiki page where each of these pages here are pages in your wiki. So you can record, your key details here. But Notion has some extra functionality built into these wiki pages, which allow you to assign owners to documents and set a verification date for the document, so that if the content hasn't been reviewed after, say, a year, or if the deadline was set a year ago and I didn't remember to review the content and update it, this verification status will show that verification has expired. And so you have a warning when you're looking at this page that the content may be out of date. If I update that verification date there, then you will see that verification status be updated until that future date when I'll get a reminder to review the content. So those are kind of all of the sort of key components here. If we go back to our CRM page, the other integration, which is particularly useful when you're using Notion for things like managing your CRM system, there's a wide range of various different tools here, but you could connect Notion to rows, for example. And so here I've got this dashboard page, which just shows me a summary of the applications which I've created, broken down by month, the value of those applications, which is the amount figure, obviously, and the grants received. And these are actually embeds of charts which I've created in rows. So if we have a look at my rows spreadsheet here, they have an integration with Notion, which just allows me to fetch the contents of my applications database. I've created some formula columns here so that I can summarize, pick out the sort of key attributes of the dates which I've recorded in my Notion database. And then we're creating a summary table here to summarize that information, obviously. And based on that, we're able to configure charts like this, with a nice simple chart editor that you would be used to seeing if you're looking at Google Sheets or some other tool like that. The nice thing is that once you've created these charts and embedded them in your Notion pages, or maybe you just keep them as a spreadsheet that you refer to here, you can set a refresh schedule for this data as well. So if you want to make sure that this data is kept up to date and you want to refresh it on a daily basis, for example, you have the flexibility to be able to do that. And so you don't have to keep switching from Notion to your spreadsheet in order to view the information and make sure that it's accurate. So I hope that's given you a good flavor of all of the or some of the key features of Notion and the possibilities that are available to you if you use it to manage your nonprofit. If you'd like to get in touch with me to discuss, ways that you might want to customize your Notion workspace, my website is anotioneer.com, and you can also find me on social media, on Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn, linkedin.com/Alex Sherwood, twitter.com/anotioneer, or x.com/anotioneer now. And feel free to contact me there if you have any questions about anything that I've covered in this presentation as well.